Hi, everybody, and welcome in to Bird's Eye View. I'm Jay Walker, and yesterday I said I was all excited because tomorrow I would get to do baseball, and then everybody reminded me, no, it was only Wednesday. So now I can say tomorrow I'm really excited to do some Ragin' Cajun baseball. But in the interim, I'm also excited. Ragin' Cajun Athletic Director, Dr. Bryan Maggard, is in the studio, and he's in town. This is the first time you've been in town since that whirlwind first day, huh?
That's exactly right. Came in yesterday morning. I've had a series of meetings nonstop, and wrap up my commitments tomorrow at the softball game at 5:30 or 5 p.m. Looking forward to that, and then I'll fly out Saturday morning, and then back probably March 1, March 2 for full go.
You're throwing out the first pitch tomorrow night.
So I've been told.
Okay,
I've got to warm up.
So that was like, we need to talk about this because if you're going to the softball game, A, you have to throw an underhand, yes, and B, you have to windmill it.
Absolutely.
Now, if that's an issue, talk to your deputy athletic director. She knows all about that.
I tell you what, Jess, I'll have her out at 6 a.m. in the morning. We'll warm up, get the arm loose. Honestly, I haven't thrown a baseball or softball in I don't know how long. So
it'll be fun.
I'm going to absolutely have to do some warm up.
You're going to get your first opportunity really to see what the atmosphere at Lamson Park is all about. They had some great crowds last weekend, and you've got a nationally ranked team coming in this weekend. And not only that, but I always call it a family reunion. Patrick Murphy, the head coach there, got his start here. Allison Habits was an All-American player here. They're going to honor both of them on Saturday. But you've been here. People have been telling you, man, when you go to the softball stadium, way to go check it out. Now you're going to get an opportunity.
Yeah, and I can't wait. I'm really excited to just take in the atmosphere. It's a great series with a fantastic program like Alabama, and there's no doubt in my mind it'll be a packed house Friday evening. We're all going to wear red, so we're going to make sure our fan base wears red, and I'll be in my red. I'll be donning it proudly, and we need to have a sellout there and be loud.
They you don't have to tell softball fans twice. They kind of got that part of it figured out, and they had great crowds last week, and I think they averaged about 2,200. So
that's fantastic.
There aren't. You're coming in from the SEC, and Missouri has had some great success in the game of softball, but not everybody draws those kind of folks.
That's absolutely right. I mean, Missouri, to their credit, have done a great job with softball over the past several years. And but no, the atmosphere that I'm going to experience on Friday, I believe, will be a first for me.
Did you get a chance to go by the baseball park since you've been here? Because a lot's happened since you were here just a couple of weeks ago.
At 10 a.m., I attended my first baseball facility project meeting that ended quickly to everybody's good surprise. And so they toured me that stadium. Phenomenal. I just seeing it in its current state, which isn't finished, obviously, really puts chills, on your arm because I'm telling you what, it is special.
They announced this week that they have had to suspend season ticket sales. I guess that's a good thing. Because you're up over 500 from last year, and evidently there are people who still want to buy them, but got to kind of see where we are with this before you open it back up again. But what a wonderful problem.
I tell you what, when Jessica Leger gave me a call, she texted me on Monday and said, hey, here's what's going down, and here's our plan to communicate and move forward. And I called her on the phone. I said, Jessica, this is a fantastic problem to have. I mean, in the true sense of the demand and support, that Lafayette and the Ragin' Cajun fan base is showing to baseball. So yes, we'll the leadership team has done a really good job of planning and communicating, what it is that we have to do to make sure we are accommodating, the tickets that we do have out. And so very pleased, with that, but certainly that's going to be an electrifying night on March 3rd.
2 weeks from tonight.
I'll be there for that.
You will have just gotten back into town.
I will. So March 1, March 2 will be my first day, officially on the job, and I'll definitely be at that game March 3rd.
You got a big smile on your face when you say that. It's
I don't know if you've seen the stadium, Jay, or if you've had a chance to tour, but when they had me up in in the club level and at the suite level, and you just look down on that beautiful field, what's taking place there is very special.
They actually brought me to where the broadcast booth is going to be, and I the thing that amazed me, because a little bit down the third baseline, and I had one concern, and how am I going to criticize umpires from there? But actually, from that vantage point, even with a right-handed batter in the box, you can still see home plate. So I'm pretty excited.
You're going to have a great seat in that house. But yeah, very, very, very nice, first class, and I mean that emphatically. That's a first class facility, and just very excited to see it in its completed state.
You walked in here for the first time, and you were greeted by an oversized canvas of Cajun Field with about 30,000, 32,000 people in it. And the first thing you said is we need to fill in those empty seats. Interested that this week it was announced that Grambling State will be in to open the season in 2018. And the first thing I did was applaud, because we talked about it that day. I said, there's no negative to this, because A, there's going to be a great crowd for that game, because Grambling will travel. It'll be the season opener. Grambling's got a great band, and the other thing is Cajuns are going to win. And we talked about football scheduling the last time you were here. It doesn't get much better than they're going to bring a great crowd, and the Cajuns are going to win.
Absolutely. That game, obviously, I had nothing to do with that schedule, and that would have been Scott Farmer, and a great game to schedule. It's a state school within the state of Louisiana, within the system, and as you said, they will have a good following, and it's going to be a great game for the Ragin Cajuns, and we just need it to be an electrifying crowd. Absolutely.
When we start talking about money and start talking about budgets and start talking about all of these other things, one of the things that drives that, and I think we've been talking about it for many years, but especially in the last 4 or 5 years, and that's season ticket sales. Baseball has done its job. Softball did its job as well. Football season ticket sales have dropped a little bit over the last couple of years. I would think that that's going to be a priority for you once you get here, is coming up with a season ticket plan to try to get those numbers back up to at least what they were a couple of years ago.
And no question, that'll be a heavy point of emphasis, for us. I had a chance to sit down with my senior leadership team yesterday for about 2.5 hours, and football season tickets was an agenda item. Everything from, we know that the season ticket renewal starts on February 22nd and goes through April 17. And Jay, I'll be real candid with you. I have a personal goal to achieve. I want 14,000 season tickets sold. And that would be the highest we've ever done by probably 300 tickets. But I'm telling you, there is nothing that positions your team better to win when those young men run out on the field, and it's an electrifying atmosphere. And we want it loud. And as I told the staff and Coach Hudspeth, I will be fully committed these next 6 months between the renewal period, new season ticket sales, and then obviously even with single game sales, but that I will be out and about. The University of Louisiana, in my opinion, that's Acadiana's university. And, I want the region, to fully embrace university. And so we have got to do our part as an administration to get out and encourage people to buy season tickets.
Did you guys talk at all about a plan for the outlying parishes? Because you just said Acadiana's team, and I think that the Lafayette community has done a great job in supporting in the past. Did you guys kick around at all any sort of thoughts about what to do about the outlying parishes?
We did, and one thought that will go into reality here very soon is me getting out to the different parishes personally and meeting with as many groups as I can. So I am going to hit the streets and beat the parishes as hard as I can. I'm here for 6 months without my family.
I was about to say, you're going to be a bachelor
24/7, my friend. I will be dedicating myself, to the position of athletic director. And but no, I'm very excited. Working with Rob Stewart and others on our staff. The charge was set up days where we're out, and meeting, in the smallest and largest communities alike, and getting in front of as many people as we can just to tell our story. And it's not about soliciting money by any means. It's about me getting a chance to be more visible and getting to know our current fan base and try to attract more. And doing that just through building relationships and rapport, and but me coming to them.
Dr. Bryan Maggard, Ragin Cajun Athletic Director, is our guest this afternoon on Bird's Eye View. You mentioned that there's going to be about a 6-month period before your family joins you. Of course, by that time, your youngest will be off at school, so it'll be Carrie, and then the others will come to visit from time to time.
Absolutely.
I know that the two of you had to have talked about that before you accepted the job here. That's going to be a little bit different for both of you, I would imagine, because you've never been one to say, "Okay, honey, I'll see you in 6 months."
That's exactly right. And so, yes, those conversations were had, and we knew just by virtue of being in this industry and watching other colleagues move on to athletic director roles, is that it's not uncommon, right? So we know now, whether that time period would be 3 months or 6 months, I don't know. But no, a lot of discussion, but we're prepared for it. The good thing for me knowing is that, Carrie is going to be in Columbia, with really all three of our kids right now, because we've got two at the University of Missouri and Kaylin's still at home. So she's going to be well taken care of, and she'll be, for sure amongst family. And I'm going to be so consumed with the job that I think, 6 months is going to seem like one day.
It'll probably go by very, very fast. At least you're not going to be sitting at your place looking at the walls and going, "Oh my God, I'll never make it through 6 months."
I agree.
It since your first appearance here, you went back, of course, back home to Columbia and went back to work. What were some of the things that you tried to accomplish from a long distance while you were sitting there in Columbia? Because I would imagine this has not been a thing where you said, "Okay, I'm back in Columbia now, don't anybody talk to me for a few weeks." I know you've been in contact with the folks here. What are some of the things that you've tried to accomplish long distance?
Well, I think part of it was, the charge was to just keep me abreast of any of the major issues, and not that I'm in a position to make decisions per se, but at least, when I left here, the department knew that Jessica Leger was and still is, the interim athletics director, and that all decision-making authority, is with her. My conversation with her before I left was just, keep me in the loop and let me know, the major issues that you're dealing with. And if I can offer insight, I'm happy to do that, but would want to know, what direction we're moving in certain situations. And then with others, I just, I've been working with Jim Harris and the RCAF in terms of just making phone calls to donors, to board members, and introducing myself, people who I didn't get a chance to meet, while I was here. And then just, again, just staying in touch with the rest of the, what I'm calling the senior leadership team on just any issues that are out there that I need to be made aware of. Probably more so in helping me just be better prepared. What you don't want to do, Jay, is you don't want day one on the job be day one. This 2-week window since the announcement has really been used to get myself up to speed on the major issues as much as I can. I've been in contact with Dr. Savoie a couple times, just, again, talking, staying connected. So you have that wheel turning, right? And then, the other two wheels on this tricycle, if you will, would be getting the house in order. So we're meeting with a realtor next week, for example, and to get the house on the market in March before I leave town, and then wrapping things up at the University of Missouri.
One of the things that, the word, it seems like every time I've ever spoken with any athletic director at any university, the word budget comes up. Has that been something, too? Because I know each individual sport has got its own budget. I'm sure that you need to be informed as to how those sports have been budgeted. Is that something else that you've been involved with at all?
Absolutely. So before I left town on Thursday of the announcement week, I had an opportunity to sit down with the leadership team for about 2 hours, and they were just starting the process of drafting next year's budget. And so we had some dialogue about that. Yesterday's meeting, we touched on that as well. But they're moving that along very nicely. And the way the process works is, you put together, draft one of the budget, we review it, we get the pencil out, we we adjust, do what we can, and then ultimately, by April, somewhere in that time frame, we want to have a final draft of next fiscal year's budget ready to go. So absolutely, that's one of the key objectives that we're working on. And when I get here in March, we'll continue to move forward with that and get that finalized.
You say when I get here in March, and you make it seem so far away. That's about a week and a half.
Exactly.
You got a week and a half. All right,
I know it.
But you're going to miss Mardi Gras.
So I'm told. I think about a day, day, unfortunately, but it's just going to be really hard to get back.
You wouldn't have gotten any work done anyway.
Probably not.
I can guarantee you wouldn't have gotten.
And
any work done.
It is disappointing to have to wait a whole year, to experience that. But it is what it is. I'll come back and maybe I'll be fully rested and the staff will be exhausted. I don't know how it works, and I'm very excited though, and very just excited to experience a Mardi Gras in Louisiana.
Have you talked to anybody that maybe is outside the university, or maybe somebody that's not here, but in the world of athletics that isn't necessarily someone from around here, that has talked to you and said, okay, let me tell you a few things about Louisiana. Have you been not warned? Yeah. Have you been
advised?
Advised is a good word.
I have. So whether it's student athletes at Missouri who are from Mississippi or Louisiana, right? We have some, or individuals. Actually, a former coach at Mizzou, his name is Josh Henson. He was our offensive coordinator for several years. He is currently at Oklahoma State, but he was at LSU for a couple of years, tight ends coach under Les Miles. And he and I spoke, and his comments were, Bryan, you're living in the best place in the state of Louisiana by living in Lafayette. But he just talked to me about, I get the same comments about the amazing food, and no joke here, the amazing food, the amazing people, the opportunities, to continue to enhance what's already taking place at the athletic department with the Ragin Cajuns. And that the fact that, hey, you're moving right to the heart, of Cajun country. You are, the Cajun heritage started and ends there. And so those are the types of comments I'm getting. But
nobody said to you, dude, don't do it.
Oh, absolutely not. I said during my press conference, I believe, and other interviews, that this is an amazing job in our industry. And again, so fortunate to get this opportunity. And you couple that, Jay, with all the comments from people who know what they're talking about, saying that Lafayette is an amazing place to live, given the community, the people, and you add on, the opportunity to work at the University of Louisiana. That's a home run.
There are going to be, there's, as we've already mentioned, they've got this baseball park that they're working on down the street. When you were here last, one of the things that we did talk about was, at some point in time, other facilities are going to have to be addressed. One of them in particular. As you sit down, because there's so much I know that you want to get accomplished. There are all sorts of things. You talked about the cheat sheet that you got with Mike Alden's report about, okay, here are things that we think need to be done, and all of them need to be done yesterday, except for these two things which can wait till tomorrow. Has part of what you've done so far just sit down and say, okay, in order, here's what I want to accomplish? Or is it just more of a situation where you say, okay, maybe I got an idea, but there's going to be curveballs in here, so let me see if I can hit a slider?
It's that latter, I think, because you can formulate a plan, and until I get here and really know, all the intricacies of all the issues or all the projects that, are on that list, something might thwart you a little bit, off of a plan. But absolutely, in my mind, I have an idea. For example, one thing I really want to get the ball rolling on is exploring the opportunity to acquire a third-party rights holder with our multimedia opportunities. That'll be key on my list to get that process moving forward, and it will be a process. That doesn't just happen overnight. And then initially, one of the things I'll do right away, and I've kind of started this during these last couple of days of visits, is really establishing our organizational structure. So yesterday we affirmed the senior leadership team, and these will be the 8 individuals that I will rely heavily on to help me run the day-to-day operations of the department. We'll implement what we're calling a sport program administration program, where From those 8 individuals, to include myself, we will identify, who will be responsible day to day for what sports. And then what that does is that allows your head coaches to have that go-to person who's working with them day in, day out to ensure that, in essence, I'll sum it this way. The administrator helps push the big rocks out of the way, so our coaches can be positioned to focus on coaching and training their student athletes and not have to worry about, a lot of the administrative type things that they might normally would have had to.
So groundbreaking on the new football stadiums next week.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen, from Jay Walker, not Bryan Maggard. Again, that will, getting my hands around the master plan will be, on that list and identifying, what those needs are. But it's not an unknown, right? It's not an unknown that our football stadium needs to be addressed, particularly a press tower. That's what I call it, press box, press tower. And, but a part of that is me sitting down with the RCAF and our leadership team and really getting an understanding, what does our debt service look like, and, how are we making payments on the monies already borrowed, and then, what could be some fundraising opportunities to move forward on different projects.
Yeah, and just to let folks know, I was being really facetious about that because I know that, having been around fans for as long as I have, not only in my play-by-play duties, but also in doing this radio show for as long as I have, it only needs to happen today. And as long as you got it done by next week, you're fine.
Right.
So yeah, just to let folks know, I was being a little bit facetious about that. We know that it's part of the plan, and at some point in time, it's going to happen. But there are a lot of things that need to be addressed before that can. And I look back, the track soccer facility, we've broken ground on golf. You've got Russo Park going up. Lamson Park just had their new hitting facility open. So much progress has been made over the last 5 years or so, and at the same time, still much work to be done because you're only in the beginning of phase 2 of that 3-phase plan.
Absolutely. So much credit has to go to the previous leadership regime and the things that they've accomplished. And I know, if you're sitting here with a Scott Farmer, he's not going to say he did that all by himself. He had a team of people who helped support him do that, but he provided the leadership to get those types of things going. And, my charge is to take the baton and in essence, finish the race, right? And we got some distance to go.
Usain Bolt just got the baton.
There you go. Well, I appreciate that. But, again, as I tell our coaches and our administration and other individuals I talk to, it will take a village. One person will not get it done by himself. Now, myself, I absolutely have a charge to provide leadership, direction, and vision, but it will absolutely take a village to accomplish what we want to accomplish. And as that's the essence of good leadership. Surround yourself with great people, provide them with direction, give them autonomy to do the jobs, hold them accountable, and then work together as a team to accomplish what you want to accomplish.
Yeah, and when we talk about taking a village, you said you've got a senior leadership team. It's 8 folks, and those 8 folks probably have 8 more folks, and then that expands to some other folks, but the folks also include every single person that buys a ticket for a Ragin Cajun sporting event. That's how far that village extends.
They are as much a part of our team as I am. And I mean that, when we talk about, wanting to sell, when I want to sell 14,000 football season tickets, that takes, a commitment, from our fan base. I get that. We need that everybody who had a season ticket this past year, make sure they renew. And if they can find one friend, who will buy a season ticket, or when I'm out and about meeting with different groups and then just, again, promoting our program, again, I just need people who haven't bought season tickets before to consider doing so. Because I tell you, that's maybe one of the most important roles, that a member of our team could play. Attending games, buying a box of popcorn, a cold beverage, a hot dog, whatever
Several
it is.
cold beverages.
The more the merrier, absolutely, whatever it takes. But, there's, again, I said this earlier, there's nothing that electrifies an environment and a team like a loud, jam-packed crowd. And when we can create those atmospheres for the young men and young women who represent the university and wear the Ragin Cajun logo, that's how we know we're doing our part, to get that environment ready to go.
We talked about football scheduling, which you were responsible for at the University of Missouri, and you said something that I've never heard an athletic director say, and that's that you enjoy doing it. Everybody else that I've ever talked to looked upon it as, it's just something you got to do. Now, the 17 football schedule is done. With the signing of Grambling, the 18 football schedule is done. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think the 19 football schedule is also done. So now you're working on 2020 and beyond. And so I would, while it's going to be a huge priority, at least you've got yourself a little bit of leeway before you have to start devoting a tremendous amount of attention to that.
You think you do.
Yeah, I had a feeling I was going to be wrong on that.
Like as an example, and I won't always reference this, but in that role at Missouri, I was working on 23 and beyond. And so, you'd like to think that, 5 years out or whatever it is plenty, 4 years. But I tell you what, that's about now when it comes to scheduling. And but no, I look forward to getting my hands around that and, everything from just looking at all of our current football contracts between now and 20, and then really start strategizing, working with Coach Hudspeth. He and I have had some high-level talks about football schescheduling, and I'll absolutely get him involved.
I was about to say, you said that you wanted the coaches to be involved.
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. Because again, if you don't, it's not, in my opinion, it's not fair to the coach, to not do that. And I'm not saying he was never involved before. That's what I'm not alluding to. I just know that as I approach football scheduling, he and I will have a lot of conversations about opponent opportunities and how we best want to accomplish what we want to accomplish. What you want to do through football scheduling in your non-conference games is position your coach and your team to win as many of those as you can. Well, we know that the best advantage you can give a team to win is play at home. And so, we want 6-7 games at home. And that's not, I know, I get it. It may not always be achievable, but certainly, that's going to be a focus of ours, moving forward. Now, I believe we have 6 in 18, and maybe we're back to 5 in 19.
We have 5 at Cajun Field in 19, with the 6th one a home game at the Superdome.
And that's pretty good. So we can sit there and say we have 6 games in the state of Louisiana. That's right. That's okay. But yeah, we'll just want to make sure we're looking at a couple things. One, scheduling opponents that gives our football program the best opportunity to win, and part of that's location. And then 2, as we look ahead at Power 5 opponent opportunities.
Is there a message you want to give to the folks that are listening today? Because I know that that we have a finite time to be able to visit, and I prefer infinite times, but I realize it doesn't work that way right now. Anything specifically you'd like to say to folks before you have to go on and start start practicing to throw an underhand windmill pitch tomorrow night?
One, and I've said this many times before, I'm very honored to be given this opportunity, and I take it very seriously. Our fan base, our constituent groups, our communities will see my face out and about a lot, and I'm committed to doing that. And, my biggest request, to those listening and beyond is, support your Ragin Cajuns. The University of Louisiana is, in my opinion, Acadiana's university. And we have got to make sure that as an area, as a region, as parishes, as towns, cities, etc., that we're on board with supporting this university at the highest level. There's a number of ways people can do that. And so I'm just looking forward to getting out, meeting as many people as I can throughout the entire region, and telling them the great story about the University of Louisiana, its athletic programs, and hope we invite people to come and attend our events.
Dr. Bryan Maggard, Ragin Cajun athletic director, is going to be leaving on Saturday. He'll be back here around the 1st of March to actually take off his floaties and jump into the deep end of the pool, I guess is one way to put it.
Well said. Well said. Looking forward to it.
Thanks for coming by to visiting, and we'll talk soon.
Appreciate the opportunity and look forward to many more of these.
All right, Dr. Bryan Maggard, our guest.